Hello, and welcome back to my channel, AJ Budgets. I am AJ. Thank you so much for being here and watching today's video. We are going to be doing a budgeting 101 video. What are sinking funds? So I noticed in a couple of my prior videos, there are some new budgeters or new to this style of budgeters who are asking questions on sinking funds. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to do a quick recap of what sinking funds are. And then I'm going to show you both envelope style sinking funds and then also electronic style sinking funds, because not everybody can take on the envelope stuffing. It's a commitment. It takes a lot of time, and electronic budgeting systems can be on your phone and they can be on the go with you. So I want to give you both options and kind of show you how that looks, both physically stuffing and then also electronically stuffing, or in my case, I do both. A little note before we jump into it is that budgeting systems look a little bit different for everyone. So even though there will be categories that are similar or same across budgeters, that doesn't mean yours has to look exactly like everybody else's. I have a lot of sinking funds. I've also been doing this style of budgeting for 7 years. I've been doing electronic budgeting for 10 years very consistently. And so this is what works for me. When I first started, I only had like 4 categories. And so don't feel discouraged by feeling overwhelmed. You can have as little or as many categories as you want. So you just need to find a system that works for you. And if it's working for you, that's all that matters. So let's get into today's video. The first thing I want to talk about is, what are sinking funds? So, sinking funds is just a fancy word for a savings account. So, you're saving money for specific things. And so, what you do is you sink money into your savings account, and then you've allocated every single dollar in that savings account to a specific fund. And so there are two types of sinking funds that you can do. You can have short term, or I just call them my regular sinking funds, and then you can have long term sinking funds. You can also just have one category that's called sinking funds, which is where I started, which is why there's just this first binder that called sinking funds. It took me a while to get going, to save up a lot of money and to really work this system before I could do long term sinking funds, because these, again, are long term and I was living paycheck to paycheck. Well, actually, I was living less than paycheck to paycheck. I was charging a lot on my credit cards. And so it was really hard for me to think long term when I was really worried about the short term. Like, was I going to make ends meet from week to week? So we're going to look at my short term sinking funds first. So in my sinking funds binder, these are my basic sinking funds. So for me, these are funds that come up um, a couple of times a year to annually. And so it's just bills I know that I'm going to have to pay out, that I don't want to have to figure out where that money's coming from when the bill gets to me. And so I found if I save a little bit of money each month, then when the bill comes due, it's like girl math here, but free money because I already have it saved. And so for me, I was really struggling with getting birthdays and Christmas money um, saved so I had enough to spend. And then I was going into credit card debt because I was just charging everything on my credit card because obviously I needed to buy birthday presents. So let's charge it up. So those are my first two sinking funds in here, is birthday and Christmas. So for birthdays, I need about $250 a year for my family. So I save about $20 a month to make that happen. With Christmas, I need about $1,200 a month. So what I do is I save $100 a month. The cool thing about this, though, is I don't have to wait for it to be fully funded for me to spend out of it. So I like to buy my Christmas presents throughout the year. And you'll see in my upcoming video, I actually already spent the $100 I'm going to stuff in January because there are so many good deals on after Christmas sales. And so, yeah, anyways, my next category I have in here is household. I guess I should do it this way so you can read this a little better. I apologize. So in my household category, these are going to be bills that um, I have to pay in order to kind of just, live my life. So first and foremost, I can't live without Costco. So I have my annual membership. It's $60 a year. And so I just save $5 a month. And then it comes up in December each month. So by December, I have my $60 saved for my Costco membership. Car maintenance, this is kind of a revolving thing. I'm going to be able to save hopefully a lot more money in car maintenance in the next couple of years because I just got a new car, so mine is currently under warranty. I did have $1,000 left in here after purchasing my new car, so it's technically fully funded, but I'm going to keep putting like $35 a month in here that will help me pay for like oil changes and tire rotations in the future. Car registration. My car registration comes up every couple of years. I only put $2 a month in this, but $2 a month. I don't have to come up with $60 every couple of years. The next section of my sinking funds binder is insurance. So I have a few different insurances that I pay throughout the year. First is my co-pays. Car insurance. My car insurance renews twice a year. And so I save about $135 a month in order to make that payment in full because I get like almost a $200 discount to pay it in full. So it's a $400 a year savings. This took me a while to get to where I was 6 months ahead on car insurance. But it was just saving. It took me, I think, about 18 months to save. Like I would save $150 a month. So just putting that extra $15 to $20 aside into a future fund. And then eventually I got to where I was 6 months ahead. My life insurance policy, it's like $17 a month. Umbrella insurance is about $23 a month, and then I pay it once a year. Same with my life insurance, it gets paid once a year. The next category in here is education. I'm a teacher, so I spend a lot on my classroom. Not a lot, but I mean, I spend $20 to $50 a month on my classroom. And so I have this where it's dedicated to my classroom. So it goes in and comes out of this fund a lot. And then graduation, I have cousins that are in high school right now and nieces and nephews. So I save some graduation money. And then I also like to do little gift cards for some of my students who ask me to hand them their diploma at graduation. So there's that one. And then my last category is personal taxes. I live in a state where I have to pay personal taxes once a year. And so I save a little bit every month to make sure in December I can make that payment. I do have a little bit extra in this fund right now because I did buy a new car. So when I had my new car funds, I popped some into personal taxes because I know with the higher value car, my personal property taxes will be a little higher, but I didn't want to adjust my budget. So I put some extra money in here back in September. So those are my short-term or regular sinking funds. The next thing we're going to look at are my long-term sinking funds. And like I said earlier, the long-term sinking funds wasn't something that I started out with. This was a new addition about 3 years ago. So this is a relatively new binder in comparison to some of the other binders I have. So the first thing I have in here is my account buffer. So this is a money market account. And so the money market account has a minimum balance. And so I saved that I did what was it, a $25 envelope challenge a few times to get this buffer in here. So I have that in there now. And then I have some miscellaneous categories, which I am going to start. I haven't started this yet, but I know I'm going to need a new laptop in the next couple of years. And so I wanted to go ahead and start saving for that here in 2026. So I've set that up. The next category in my long-term sinking funds was my priority for the last like 3 or 4 years it took me to get my emergency funds set. And then I've had them all funded for about 6 months now, except for a couple months ago, I had to get new glasses. So my medical fund is not fully funded as of right now, but it will be soon. So my emergency fund categories are my pets. So I have $500 in my pet ER um, emergency fund just in case, like, I don't know, they eat poison ivy, or this last summer, my dog got bit by a copperhead. She's a 5-pound dog. I thought she was going to be a goner, but she survived. But we had to rush her to the emergency room and get her taken care of. My medical emergency fund. This is my annual deductible, so I like to have my annual deductible saved just in case anything happens. I don't have to worry about trying to pay for my deductible. I have a personal emergency fund, and I have this broken up into personal and a mini vacay. So just in case in my a vacay I'm a little short, or maybe there's something that I need or want to do for myself, I have a little bit of funds set aside for myself, and then I don't feel guilty about using that. The next category I have is my vacation fund. So I go on vacations throughout the year. My goal is to go on a minimum of 3 vacations a year. I typically end up going on 4 to 6 a year. But right now I'm saving to go to California, Las Vegas, and then Mexico. And then also be doing a road trip to Michigan this summer. And so this is a lot of money that kind of comes in and out. And I just like to have this separate. It's not necessarily a bill. And so I didn't want it in my bill sinking funds. So it just sits over here in my long-term sinking funds. I also have graduation. I still have my niece who is a sophomore, and then my baby godson is going to be 3 this year. And so I'm still saving for their graduation because I have it um, budgeted out to where by the time they're 18, they have X amount of money to where I can take them on a trip, or if they want the cash instead, they have the option to get the cash. I like to move this money into a CD I have. So I save in here monthly or quarterly. And then when this CD renews once a year, whatever I have in here, I roll into that CD. That way, in the CD, it's making even more money. So my money market interest is like 2.25%, but in the CD, I can get up to 5 to 6% depending on rates. I think rates right now are kind of low. I think they're 4.5, but we'll see what it is. This one doesn't come up until April. The last category I have in here is my tithing. And so I like to donate to my church once a month. And then they do little fundraisers. And that is my long term sinking binders. So hopefully that gives you an idea of the types of funds you can have in your sinking funds. Next, I want to take you into my electronic sinking funds because I also track these electronically, because I like to see like percentages, like how close am I to meeting my annual goals in each of these accounts. So let's jump into that version. Welcome to my electronic sinking funds tracker. I have not started this for January 2026, so this is a perfect time to get everything set up. I do have this kind of set up from last year, so my sinking funds are already added in here. So I just need to go through and type in my goal date, which is typically the end of the year. My vacation one might be a little bit different, but let me jump in and do my goal dates. I have all of my dates added in. So now I need to go through and set up how much I want to save in each category for the year. So now for birthdays, it's 250. Christmas, it's 1200. And as you can see with this tracker, it will automatically show me how much I have saved because I don't have anything down here in the contributions, how much I have remaining, and then what I would need to save each month in order to hit that goal. So that's why I love this. And then up here, it tells me the percentage that I'm at in towards my savings. So the next thing I need to do is go in and add how much money I currently have in each fund. I know I have nothing in birthdays, and did not take anything out. Same with Christmas. Costco, I have $5. I've not pulled anything out. Car maintenance has 1,000. Car registration, 53. Medical copay has 75. So actually, I'm 150 for the year. Car insurance has 560. As you can see, as I'm adding in the funds, it's recalculating how much, like my percentage towards that goal. That's why I love the digital version, because I can like see my progress. It's really cool up here as you're meeting goals. It'll tell you how much you've met, how much you have to meet. As you contribute, it'll tell you how much you have to go, and then it'll track it over time, like how much you're entering in. So you'll have a little graph up here on the top right hand side. I actually got this on Etsy, the sinking funds tracker. I will link it down below. I absolutely love it. I hope you have a better idea on what sinking funds are and how you can utilize them in your own budget. I want to say thank you all for being here. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye.